You are listening to Beyond the Verse, a StarCitizen podcast. A show dedicated to Cloud Imperium games, StarCitizen, and Squadron 42. Whether you fight, explore, unite, and/or trade, we bring you news, updates, interviews, reviews, and analysis. So sit back, relax, grab yourself a pour of Radagast, and join us as we go Beyond the Verse.
Launch sequence activated.
Hello, friends, and welcome to Beyond the Verse, StarCitizen podcast. I'm your host, Solus, and this is episode 134. We're closing out 2025 or 2955 together. We're looking at a full year in review. We're going to take CIG's 2025 player survey together live, and we're going to read and react to the latest letter from the chairman, then cap it all off celebrating our year-long campaign in Extra Life, hitting 100% of our $5,000 goal, and it's a very, very incredible story. So for the purpose of this podcast, we're going to take a very chill approach. So grab your favorite glass of Radagast. For me, I'm killing a bottle of Angel's Envy. Let's see, your Angel's Envy, Bottled in Bond. I'm going to kill that guy, and then I'm going to open up probably the Heaven Hill Bottled in Bond throughout this podcast. But we're just going to have an evening together. I'm recording this on the 29th. So it's Monday night, 29th, around 8:15 p.m. I won't be here for the next several days. It is my birthday celebration, and for my birthday celebration, I have chosen to take the family and take the kiddos on a Disney cruise to the Western Caribbean. So I'll be spending the first part of January not here, not in game, not in the verse. So I'm going to record this ahead of time. I'm going to drop it more than likely tomorrow on Tuesday so that we have this latest episode for y'all to enjoy and for y'all to unpack. Many content creators are going through a year in review, the highlights, the lowlights, and I'm going to go a little bit of a different approach. I'm actually going to take our survey and let that kind of guide our conversation. I'm going to react to each one of the questions. I'm going to give you my 2 cents from a hopefully an unbiased standpoint. I will err on the side of optimism, but not to the point of white knighting. I think there's plenty of criticism to be had, but constructive criticism. But we will start with the letter from the chairman. We're going to read it verbatim. I have a couple of things I want to react to. But again, this is a very chilled podcast. I don't even have my headset on, so we'll see how the audio quality goes from here. But I'm just really excited about this. I hope y'all had a phenomenal December holiday season, Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate. Even if you don't celebrate, hopefully you had time away from work, you had time together with family. And again, I hope that was all blessed. And of course, Happy New Year, right? Again, today's the 29th. Here in a couple of days, we'll be in 2026 or 2956 or the year of Squadron 42. And if you disagree with me, that's fine. This is probably not the podcast for you. But you're welcome to hang out and listen for a little bit. So here we go. I'm actually going to pull up the letter from the chairman, and we're going to read that, and then we're going to take the survey together, and then of course react a little bit to just overall general things that happened this year that I just want to take a second and really celebrate with you. So here we go. Letter from the chairman. Without further ado, let's just get into it straight from Chris Roberts' mouth. As we wrap up 2025, I want to take a moment to reflect on the year and what it's meant for all of us. 2025 became the year of playability for StarCitizen. It was a year when more people played than ever before and spent more time in the verse than at any point in our history. That momentum did not happen by chance. It came from a focused effort to improve quality of life, performance, and reliability, and to make the gameplay experience more engaging and rewarding to return to. We started the year with two clear goals as a company to improve stability and quality of life in StarCitizen, while continuing to deliver regular content updates and to push Squadron 42 toward beta and release in 2026. I'm happy to say we've made great progress on both fronts. So let me just pause here and react to this first little segment. Year of playability. I don't know if I'm going to disagree with that. I think dating all the way back when I started playing, 2951 or 2952 at the very, very latest, this has been the best year so far as playability goes. We can still argue that things are broken. We can still argue that the whole cargo mission was very game breaking and the freight elevators needed a lot of work. But if you take away the freight elevators in that one little cargo hauling instance, everything has gotten better. I think objectively, I think if we were really being honest with ourselves and we were looking at the hangars, they're a little bit more consistent. I say a little bit, things still happen, guys. But the hangars are a little bit more consistent. The persistence between patch updates, the long-term persistence for the most part is working better. We still get reports of things missing from patch to patch. It happens. It's going to continue happening every time there's a patch reset. I love how there's like under the table drug deal, like things to like make sure you do XYZ in order to keep your inventory. And sometimes even that falls through. So I just think that's like absolutely hilarious how that happens. But overall, I do agree that the year, quote unquote, the year of playability in StarCitizen, I do believe was a successful one. Now, behind the scenes, the mention of pushing Squadron 42 toward beta and release in 2026, we don't know. That's very internal. That's very behind the scenes. There's not a lot of visibility other than the monthly reports or the bi-monthly reports that talk about Squadron 42. We don't have a lot of visibility on its progress other than this letter from the chairman. So let's just keep reading and we'll go from there. So for StarCitizen, on the StarCitizen side, 2025 saw a number of important pieces come together. We released not one, but two star systems in a single year, welcomed the return of the beloved landing zone Levski, and added new locations around the verse, opening more space to explore and to spend time in. Server meshing was the key technology that made it all possible. With the release of 4.01 to the live environment on January 28th, we moved into a bigger, more performant and stable universe. And while there was a few hiccups with some legacy systems like the elevators and the air traffic control that were built long before server meshing was conceived, server meshing itself has been working flawlessly since the beginning, a testament to the design and execution of the system by our network, backend, engine, and gameplay teams. Every day it handles tens of thousands of people playing concurrently in shared instances of up to 700 players. For something that simulates everything to the level of detail we do, at the scale we do, in first and third person, this is truly mind-boggling of an achievement. Most other multiplayer games top out at about 50 to 100 players in a much more contained space than we allow you to explore in StarCitizen. And the MMOs with high player counts in the same instance don't simulate and render the world to the extent that we do. As multiple servers now manage our vast universe, the individual server performance has greatly increased, creating a much better experience for all of you. And due to its design in a separate service that tracks the state of the universe for all servers and clients, it allows us to quickly recover from a client or a server crash without losing your progress, which is huge in a quality of life win. All right, break. A little bit of like I work at Amazon. We do this all the time. We kind of control the narrative. They didn't release two systems in 1 year. I mean, it's a technicality, right? Technicality, but Pyro came out in December, right? Pyro came out in December. There were several weeks of just not being able to play the damn game. And like they said, on January 28th was the first kind of patch on top of that. So technically, Pyro came out in 2024. 2025 was next. Okay, we can get hung up on the actual diction and like how we phrase things. But I guess in a non-calendar year, you can say from Pyro to Nyx, that was in less than 12 months. Let's just leave it there. All right. So a little bit of like, I don't know, every time they say 2 systems in 1 year, I'm like, not really. Server meshing really has been tremendous. And again, unless you've been following this podcast or other content creators, or maybe really just reading into the reports like some of us do, the technical side of things, they're supposed to be behind the scenes. You're not really supposed to experience it. You're not really supposed to, it's not front and center, right? Server meshing, the replication layer, dynamic server meshing in the future, object container streaming, all of those technical buzzwords and phrases, it's all behind the scenes. If you see it, then there's a problem. But we see the effects of it, right? We see being able to drop a package behind a tree, logging out a month later, logging back in, and that object is still there behind that tree. We see the effects of what's happening. But it is like, I don't know if you might have heard those 4 paragraphs and you're like, I don't know what he's talking about. Who cares? But for some of us, this is it, right? This is StarCitizen, the technological package that's coming to us with a 1.0 release at some point. That's StarCitizen to us, right? We're excited about the future that brings. Back to the article. We also shipped more mission content and in-game events than ever before this year. That included large-scale moments like teaming up to take on an irradiated Apex Valkyr or coming face-to-face with Yormindy, as well as longer-running storylines that helped add depth and context to the verse. The environments continue to evolve as well. Expanded weather effects and planetary conditions helped make locations feel more distinct and atmospheric, while improvements to characters, player interaction, and AI contributed to a more intuitive experience. We also expanded the vehicle lineup, introducing 24 new vehicles while continuing to improve the ships and ground vehicles already in your hands. Supporting all of this was a significantly increased pace of delivery compared to previous years. In 2025, StarCitizen delivered 11 major patches, more than 40 live publishes, 147 PTU builds, which is incredible, and several tech previews. This new pace allowed us to iterate faster, respond to feedback sooner, and deliver more content to play throughout the year. We closed out the year with the introduction of engineering in StarCitizen Alpha 4.5, adding new layers of interaction, decision-making, and responsibility to manage your ship. Engineering is an important step toward the deeper systemic experience I've always wanted to build, where coordination and your crew truly matter. While future systems such as Maelstrom's physically based materials and destruction, more realistic shield gameplay with generators and emitters, and our upcoming crafting system, which is the end of Q1 of next year, will further deepen engineering. It was important to bring engineering into the verse now so we can begin refining the experience in the live environment. Finally, as a Christmas surprise, we quietly released an experimental VR mode in Alpha 4.5. What began as a passion project quickly caught people's attention, and the response from those who have tried it has been genuinely exciting. I've long believed that StarCitizen is a natural fit for VR because of how we build our worlds. We physicalize almost everything, keeping first and third person views consistent in a shared universe. That approach takes more effort, but it makes the experience feel grounded and real, and it highlights the value of those design choices in a way a few other technologies can. Being able to experience ships, environments, and equipment at true scale with natural movement and directional audio adds a level of immersion that's difficult to capture on a traditional display. All of the detail we put in our environments, the props of ships and gear, really pays off when you're up close and personal. This is still an early and experimental step, and there's plenty we want to improve. We need to continue dialing in the diegetic UI so it feels comfortable and readable in VR. Refine FPS controls so your input controls your body rather than where you're looking. So your input controls your body rather than where you're looking. and add more dedicated control support. These are solvable problems and ones we are excited to tackle. It's also worth mentioning that the new VR mode would not be possible without the engine and graphics work happening behind the scenes. Ongoing optimization efforts by our core technology group and our transition to Vulkan have made a meaningful difference. And without that work, I don't think VR would be running as smoothly in its first iteration. All of this, combined with a hard focus on bug fixing and quality of life features, has made StarCitizen more fun, stable, and playable than ever. And the numbers back it up. This next paragraph is pretty cool, so pay attention. We had record-setting engagement this year with more than 64 million hours played in StarCitizen. That's up from 48 million in 2024. You set new records in peak concurrency and unique daily users, and we saw huge increases in every metric, including 40 to 60% increases in average daily users and average peak concurrency. We also saw huge improvements in server stability, with 57% fewer player disconnections per 1 million player hours compared to 2024. 2025 truly was the year of playability for StarCitizen. I think that is super important for you to hear and to read the metrics. Your experience might not have been perfect. I know for a fact it was not perfect. Like, mine was absolutely not perfect. I had my highs and I had my lows. But you can't argue statistics. Like, that's incredible. We've had more engagement, more account creations, more everything from a player input perspective, and yet the defects decreased. That is a very good sign of things to come, right? And this is the first year of true refinement. I think as we get closer to Squadron 42 and some of these like really big hurdles like crafting and finalizing engineering, maybe starting base building. I just excited probably half my org when I said that. I think we truly are headed towards another iteration of refinement, another year of hopeful decreased defects in what we're experiencing or disconnects. All right, here's what everybody wanted to talk about. All right, pay attention. Pay attention. This is important. Squadron 42. On the Squadron 42 front, our focus throughout 2025 was to build on the progress of 2024 in what we showed as last year's CitizenCon by bringing the game to content complete and closing out remaining core tasks in preparation for beta. All chapters are now fully playable from beginning to end, and we've been playing through the game ourselves regularly. Squadron 42 is a large game, over 40 hours in length, and it's becoming increasingly clear how special it will be once the remaining polish, optimization, and bug fixing is complete. A big part of what makes this possible is the technology we've built at CIG over many years. The ability to move seamlessly from on foot into a vehicle you can fly and move around inside, down to a planet or across star systems, all without loading screens, creates a level of immersion that's very difficult to replicate. That combination of close-up interaction and galactic scale is at the core of what will make Squadron 42 so unique. Equally important is the quality of the content itself, from writing and performance capture to characters, environment, ships, lighting, sound, cinematics, and design. The level of care across the entire game is something I'm incredibly proud of. Combined with deeply interactive systems, it creates an experience that pulls you into the world and keeps you there. All right, so what did we just read? I think the most important sentence. All chapters are now fully playable from beginning to end. That doesn't say that it's optimized. It doesn't say that it's completely polished or all of the bugs are removed. It's just saying that content is out there. That's the good news. I think for those doubting if it's going to happen in 2026, like the IGN articles, the PC Gamer articles, all the naysayers of like, oh, 2026 isn't happening. This is the first time that the game's been fully complete as far as content goes. Going in and polishing and making things perfect and pristine, they have plenty of time to do that. Now, if you look at the schedule, it usually takes, I'm going to say 3 to 4 months of marketing and public relations and all those efforts on just a normal game. But they've already said that there's going to be a short marketing push for Squadron 42. It's not going to be a full-blown cycle for marketing and PR. So we are looking at about 3 months. Now we can get into the debate of whether or not games like Grand Theft Auto have any sort of influence on when the game launches. I don't think they give two shits. Quite honestly, I don't think CIG is looking at Rockstar Games and trying to like outmaneuver a console game. Because you have to remember, GTA 6 is coming out next year on console. That's a very specific player base, whereas Squadron 42 is coming out on PC. Not saying that one is better than the other or one is optimal over the other. That's not this conversation. The point I'm trying to make is it doesn't necessarily matter. You're going to have a whole group of console players that are like, hell yeah, GTA 6, let's roll. But all the PC gamers are going to wait, like myself included. We're going to wait for GTA 6 to come out on PC a year later. So for the time being, we're going to play Squadron 42 and Star Citizen. Like, I don't think there's going to be that big of a concern. I don't think Chris Roberts is concerned about GTA 6, right? It's going to succeed with or without, or it's going to succeed or fail with or without GTA 6. GTA 6 is going to change the face of gaming. It's going to be a blockbuster. It's going to be an incredible game. But it's also like, it's not the benchmark. It is a very specific niche. It's a very like Grand Theft Auto is its own category, in my opinion. Cyberpunk 2077 came the closest, I think, to like kind of feeling like GTA, but it's its own. Put that aside. Put GTA aside. GTA is not Star Citizen. I would venture to say there's no like correlation. There's no similarity between those two games. So if you're a space nerd and you want to fly and you want to be in ships, Star Citizen's your thing, with or without GTA 6. Or be like most of us and just play both. Just play both. All right, let's get on community, and we'll talk about Squadron 42 a little bit more on this Eye on the Horizon paragraph. But let's get into community real quick. Let me get a little swig of my bourbon real quick. All right, community. What continues to mean the most to us is community that has grown alongside this journey. You have given us your time, shared your perspectives, and chosen to take part in something that is truly bigger than all of us. It is the next great adventure where millions of like-minded explorers get to live among the stars, and we could not ask for a better crew. Throughout the year, hundreds of StarCitizen events took place around the world, creating spaces where stories were shared, friendships were formed, and a shared passion for this universe came to life. We were fortunate enough to attend 24 of these in person, and each one was a reminder of the care and creativity you bring to this community. These moments matter. They help us grounded. They help keep us grounded in why we do what we do, and they continue to inspire and motivate us in ways that are truly rewarding. That same energy carried through online. You organized racing events, watch parties, social meetups, and more throughout the year, bringing people together no matter the time zones or continents. CitizenCon Direct was a standout moment for us, with dozens of watch parties happening around the world simultaneously. Despite the distance between us, it genuinely felt like we were more connected than ever. Thank you for the time, patience, and passion you continue to share with us, whether you joined us at an event, helped test a build on the PTU, organized a gathering, or simply spent time experiencing the universe with others. You are at the center of our ambition and what makes this entire journey possible. All right, so yours truly hosted the CitizenCon in Austin, Texas. So me and the Astro Pub, we shared that responsibility. Um, it was fun. Don't get me wrong. It was fun. It was great. It was rewarding. I had a great time doing it. Met a lot of great people. But nothing is going to replace the in-person Citizen Cons, like the ones that we travel to LA or Manchester. Excuse me, or Manchester. So I think it was a success. I truly do. I think it was just fine. But I think your content creators have the potential of getting burnt out of organizing this across, again, 20 plus locations. And so there's a part of me that thinks that relying on the community to do this year in and year out is just it's not sustainable and it's not scalable. So I think they need to continue having their conventions. Now, I'm not CIG, who are listening to this podcast are probably like, hey, get effed, Solus. Like we're expecting you to do it from here on out. And that's fine. I don't know if I have the bandwidth to do it every single year. So hopefully somebody in Austin picks it up and it's just as good as it was last year. But it would behoove CIG to put their money where their mouth is. If the community truly is as important to them as they say it is, I mean, put up or shut up, right? Put in the work. And I know, trust me, I know what it's like to set up at a convention. I've done it for TwitchCon. Like I did it for Amazon. I did it for TwitchCon. I know what it takes to launch or to create an entire convention. Now, I wasn't single-handedly responsible for it. So when I look at Tyler Whitkin and what he had to do in LA or Manchester, I know it's a lot. I know it's a lot of responsibility, but it's also their job as community managers, right? It's not my job as Solus to continue to host these year over year. Would I do it again? 100%. I would gladly sacrifice my time, my talents in order to continue to create these conventions. Absolutely. But I'm one person. I cannot speak for all content creators. I cannot speak for all influencers that could wrangle the same experience that we were able to in Austin. All right, I've said my piece. I think for 2026, I think it's not CitizenCon. I think it's SquadCon. I think it's Squadron 42 convention. And now, whether it happens in October still, I think it would still happen in October. I think SquadCon happens. It's all things Squadron 42. It's Squadron 42 themed for more than likely a Squadron 42 release in Q4. These are just predictions. This is just my hunch. I think it's like a November or December launch of Squadron 42. And I think there's a playable version, like early access or something, that becomes available to the community. Some of the community, maybe it's subscribers, maybe it's concierge, I don't know. But I think it becomes something playable around the October convention. So pure speculation, but I can see that being the case. All right, so here is the paragraph, Eye on the Horizon. This is the paragraph that got everybody in a tiff in social media. So let's just read through it and I'll respond. So here we go. Eye on the Horizon. Looking ahead in 2026, our focus remains clear. We'll continue improving stability and depth in StarCitizen while expanding and connecting core systems that shape how you play, from engineering to inventory to crafting to social tools and other foundational features, alongside expanding the playable universe itself. Server meshing will become dynamic. Interesting. Allowing the mesh to reconfigure in real time based on player activity and server load. This evolution is foundational to supporting the large-scale group experiences that we've always envisioned and will enable us to expand the universe even further. Our goal is to have thousands of players in the same shared universe instance. Components of the server meshing system are also being leveraged to deliver instanced areas and experiences, allowing our designers to craft balanced content that integrates seamlessly into the universe. There's a lot to unpack in those two paragraphs. Let me just pause there. So in order for, task force, strike groups, Tactical strike groups. There we go. The tactical strike group kind of raids that we saw this past CitizenCon, they're instanced, but it requires a lot more maturation of the server meshing. You just read it. You just heard me read it to you. They also mentioned dynamic server meshing. So 2026 technologically could be the year of dynamic server meshing. And if that is the case, we could see the Javelin. We could see a lot of these capital ships that require dynamic server meshing in order to be in the game. We could see all the instances. We've heard and read about the instances of, was it Area 18? Ah, damn it. the layers, right? The layers, sub-layers and layers underneath that you go through that are instance. All those instancing. It doesn't require dynamic server meshing. It just requires the server mesh to become more matured, where we're able to do more things with it. So we saw in CitizenCon that they want these things to happen this year. So that means technologically, this also needs to happen. That is a big bite, right? To chew. That's a big undertaking. So technologically, we'll see. I love reading about the social tools. Good Lord, if you're part of an organization or you want org versus org, or you want some coalition of orgs, it's damn near impossible to do it in Discord while also doing it in StarCitizen. So we need the social tools. We need to be able to color code and flag individuals that are part of other orgs that we have alliances with. Like, so much is needed in that one word, or those two words, social tools. Absolutely. Okay. Engineering is going to be finalized in Q1 of this year. Inventory is going to be finalized in Q1 of this year. Crafting is coming to us. I don't know if it's finalized, but crafting will be coming to us in Q1 of this year. So we have a very busy Q1 of 2026. It's very exciting. So maybe Q2 will be social tools. That would be very nice to have in the verse. All right, back to the article. As we expand outward, we're also building deeper. Genesis planets represent our next step in planetary tech, offering breathtaking worlds with significantly improved graphical fidelity and denser, more dynamically assembled biomes. These planets are driven by the rules of nature and our designers, creating ecosystems that feel alive and authentic. Combined with StarCitizens, good Lord. Combined with StarCitizens locations throughout, Genesis planets deliver both the environmental depth and the gameplay density that we need. Supporting this will be a new AI population management system that creates inhabitants appropriate to their local environment and enables more complex interactions between agents. This approach to building living, breathing planets is key to scaling the game to the heights we're aiming for. We're also upgrading core systems that have been with us for years. As part of our item recovery work, inventory, insurance, and cross-patch persistence, they're all getting significant improvements. The focus is on making it easier to interact with your belongings while improving the stability and speed of these systems overall. These are integral parts of any MMO experience, and getting them right matters. A lot to debate on if it's done the right way, and an item recovery version 0, version 1, version 2. Like, there's a lot to debate on how these need to play out. And honestly, I feel like CIG is damned if they do, damned if they don't. Right? You've got half of the community that's going to be mad, and the other half's going to be decently okay with. So I don't envy them having to make those decisions. Yes, they are integral parts of any MMO, but they need to get it, quote unquote, right to CIG's vision, right? And I know they're big boys and they're big girls, but they need to have their vision and execute their vision, and don't listen to the noise. Because again, you're going to have half the community feel one thing, and you're going to have the other half feel a different. We're going to hear it bitch and fight on social media, and it's going to be so annoying for most of us. But they just need to have the vision, execute the vision, and be able to speak to the vision. I think that's like the one thing that we're missing is that true voice of the developer. Now we get great videos from Jared. Like, I love the Inside Star Citizens. I love the Star Citizen lives. Like, I love those. But what I mean is, like, when a decision is made, let's hear it immediately. Hey guys, here is what we executed on. Here's the why. But it needs to be like, I don't want for the whole community to have to dive in a Spectrum sub post in order to find out why something was created the way it was. I feel like there's always these, this massive thing just happened, and then some content creator copy and pastes some chat blarb from a developer. Hey, this is what this one guy said. That's not official comms. Like, official comms is like, it's like the engineering guide. Like, it's this, like, here is this new thing. Here's item recovery version 0 and why we chose what we chose. Like, I'm talking a white paper, 2 to 3 pages, PRFAQ, whatever business document word you want to give it. But I feel like they need to be proactive with that messaging. And again, not give it to some content creator to signal boost on social media. Give it to us in an actual official format. Okay. The most important piece, in my opinion, for Eye on the Horizon is this paragraph right here. For Squadron 42, our priority remains quality and polish as we move toward beta and release. I'm just going to highlight this. We're confident in the direction the game is headed and are fully focused on delivering. We know many of you are eager to play, and we're looking forward to putting it in your hands. We don't plan on a long, drawn-out marketing campaign, as we've already done our share of trailers and gameplay previews. When it's time, you and the rest of the gaming world will hear a lot more from us. Hard stop. Pause. Reread that paragraph. As we move toward beta and release. Now, I asked a question out of pure sincerity and honesty on social media. Does this mean that we're going to get a playable beta in 2026? Does this give CIG an out where if they give us a playable beta in 2026, they hit their promise, even though the game that doesn't release until a later year, 2027 or so on? It's a legitimate question. There's nothing wrong with that question, but you've got to really pay attention to the denotation and connotation chosen by Chris here. For Squadron 42, our priority remains quality and polish. Nothing new. Take that, throw it away. Moving toward beta and release. Now, most single player games have an internal beta. So studios will do their own like QA process, but they'll have like an internal beta. They might bring in Susie Q and Jim Bob. They might pull in a few other players to expand their QA base to kind of get more, experience in. But for the most part, single player games have an internal beta. So you would say, or you would assume that they've been in beta, but that's not what this little highlighted portion says. It says moving toward beta and release. So if I were to predict, it's playable from beginning to end. We read that in an aforementioned paragraph. It's playable from beginning to end. That's like QA testing. Everything is playable, but beta is like a full production. So from the time that you boot everything up to the time the end credits roll, that is the production that they're trying to measure in a beta test. I do think like in H1, which is the first half of the year, the internal beta will execute. Again, I can't speak to CIG. I don't know if we're going to be involved in that, if Evil Connie gets involved or a certain subscriber tier, concierge tier. I don't know, nor do I really care. But the beta has not happened yet, or this would not read moving toward beta. That is why I think the game releases in H2. That's why I think like we need time under beta. We need time to measure the production. We need time for the marketing campaign, albeit short. We need time for that to go into execution, maybe over the summer. And then we have SquadCon in October, and then we have the actual release in late Q4. What are your thoughts? Super interested to hear your thoughts and how you feel about that. Let's wrap up the article. Thank you for continuing to share your time, your feedback, and your passion for this universe. Star Citizen and Squadron 42 exists because of all of you. And that is something I will never take for granted. From all of us at Cloud Imperium Games, we wish you a happy holiday season and a great start to the new year. Good Lord. All right, we just spent a long time reading the article. Again, none of it matters. Chris Roberts did exactly what a CEO does. Like, I can't tell you how many Jeff Bezos, all hands meetings we saw and him get up there on stage and he just spits off whatever the hell he wants to spit off. And I can see the S team, right? The leaders that underneath him, I can see them like look around like, oh shit, did he just say what I think he said? Right? Like overcommitting or maybe non-committal comments. So you have to give like the CEO breathing room to kind of do his thing, right? His job is to sell the product. Like, he is the CEO. He is the director of CIG. His job is to sell. Now, I'm not saying he's full of shit. I'm not saying he's lying. I'm not saying he's wrong. I just take things with a grain of salt. Maybe you don't dive into word to word and you say, oh, moving toward beta means they're not really in beta. Who the fuck cares at this point? It's playable from beginning to end. Going into 2026, a year that they already promised that it was going to happen, that they've already marketed, that it's already going, in previews and on video recaps. Like, it's happening in 2026. As far as Beyond the Verse podcast goes, as far as Solus as your host goes, as far as Soul Provision as an in-game organization goes, we are all in. We are all in for Squadron 42 in 2026. It's happening. We're going to make merch. We're leaning in. You're going to hear nothing but optimism and positivity when it comes to Squadron 42 in 2026. Done. We had our board of directors meeting for the Soul Provision team. We had our board of directors meeting this past Sunday night, 2 days ago, last night, and I just made it very clear, and they're all in agreement, by the way, all 7 of us are in agreement that we're as a leadership team, we are going to be very much Squadron 42 2026. Can't wait for it. Bunch of craziness. Okay. I don't know if I want to do a little break. Okay, let's do a little break. Grab your bourbon. Let's take our bourbon. Let's take a little sip. If you're driving, don't do it. Jenner, I'm looking at you. All right. So speaking of which, some go big things that we're going to do in Soul Provision. So we're going to start teaming up with other orgs. That's going to be crazy. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to start recording a lot of our org nights. Not really recording, actually live streaming on YouTube, just as long as it doesn't have stream sniping or it complicates, missions or whatever. But I will have bonus episodes like we have for the murder mystery. So by the way, if you're listening to this episode and you don't know, there's a bonus episode for Org Night 18. It was our murder mystery. Very, very well done production. Thank you, Groza, and the other individuals in charge of creating that and running it. Super awesome. But we're going to have a lot more of those. So that's really fun. One of my go big ideas or commitments is in Austin. There's a Comic-Con, the Austin Comic-Con. I'm going to have a booth there. I'm going to be messaging CIG and hopefully have a partnership there where we have a booth here in Austin, Texas for hopefully Squadron 42. We'll see. We'll see what kind of commitment I can get from CIG. It might just be Star Citizen, but how cool would it be to have a playable beta? That's really thinking big and crazy, but how crazy would that be to have a playable beta of Squadron 42 at the Austin Comic-Con? So just more things to stay tuned for. We do think that there's a Squadron 42 convention, SquadCon. So we'll have a booth there. We'll go crazy and travel wherever it is in the world. We're going to travel to it and we're going to be part of it. So I already have that commitment from the wife. Nailed it. So that's good. Extra Life, we'll have our celebration here in a couple of minutes. But Extra Life, we will do another campaign in 2026. We set our goal at $5,000 in 2025. Now we hit that goal, but because of a very generous individual, I'm going to celebrate again in a couple minutes. So we're going to set our 2026 goal at 2,000 because I think that's easily attainable with organic donations. So stand by for that. Yeah. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else before I get into the survey. No, I think that's good. I think we're good there. Okay. If you have not taken the StarCitizen 2025 player survey, check the notes in the YouTube or in the Spotify description. We'll have a link to the player survey here. Make sure you take it. Make sure your voice is heard from a CIG perspective. So here we go. I'm going to actually fill this out. You're going to hear me typing. So if you're not watching video, sorry in advance with the loud mechanical keyboard and my very, very loud mouse. So enter your in-game name. I'm just gonna put the BTV episode 134. That's gonna be like my general response for all of this. Please enter the email associated. I'll do contact at beyondtheversehq.com. Please select your age. That's no one's business, but let's just go ahead and check the middle one here. Gender, I am male. How new to StarCitizen are you? Very new. Started within the last months. Cool. Somewhat new. Started 3 to 6 months ago. Intermediate started 6 months to a year ago. And then veteran. Been playing for more than a year. Really, guys? If you've been playing for more than a year, you're a veteran? Okay. Whatever. That's fine. Are you currently part of an in-game org? Absolutely. Absolutely. Sole Provision, the best steel and transportation organization out there. How many hours a week do you play video games in general, guys? I am a father to 2 kids. I am a responsible husband. Ooh, I don't know. Let's just do 1 to 4, 1 to 4 hours a week. That's kind of sad. All right. What is your preferred primary input setup for playing StarCitizen? For us, it is stick and throttle. So that's the HOTAS setup. What auxiliary input devices do you use? I use the Tobii eye tracker. It's freaking phenomenal. You should absolutely do it if you don't. And if you tried it and it's a little wonky, get used to it. Trust me, get used to it. It makes flying and target acquisition infinitely better. Do you own a VR headset? Yes, but I rarely use it. Yeah, I mean, I think the last time I have the Oculus or the Quest 2. I haven't played it in years. How interested are you playing in StarCitizen VR? Yeah, I'll do somewhat. Guys, again, in a couple episodes ago, I mentioned Tobii eye tracker is as much virtual reality as I need, quite honestly. What part of StarCitizen would you be most excited to experience in VR? We'll call it flying. It's fine. What is your main barrier to using VR? I don't know. Maybe performance. Motion sickness is not a thing. Cost of hardware, I already have it. No interest. So I'll do performance. Because again, like I've been having issues with 4 or 5 and the graphic settings, the Vulkan, all the changes have been kind of bad for me. I used to be able to play on everything ultra, everything freaking phenomenal, and now I'm on like high to very high settings. It's kind of, I don't know. I don't think it's in a good place performance wise. How would you describe your typical combat focus in the game? I primarily play PvE activities. Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes I dabble in PvP. Like if our org does some PvP battles, so we'll choose that one. All right, here we go. Rate your overall game client performance. Ooh, okay. I'm going to live between a 3 and a 4. I'm going to live between a 3 and a 4. Like 5 is perfect. And I'm sorry. 5 is perfect. 1 is absolute trash. 3 is like, I don't really give a shit to give an opinion. That's not true. So it's either 2 or 4. And I think it's better than it is more times better than it is worse. So we'll go ahead and leave it as 4. All right. What Star Citizen content do you enjoy watching? I'm going to choose all this shit. I mean, seriously. I love everything that production team creates. Where do you engage in the Star Citizen community? Guys, get off Reddit. Reddit is a cesspool. Get the fuck off of Reddit. Spectrum, sort of, kind of. It's just such a messy, like disorganized platform. Not like CIG sucks or what they created sucks. It's just things are buried and buried. If you wanted to go see what Tyler Whitkin said about the gold tickets for the F8C Lightning, it would take you freaking forever to find it. Like, I don't know. I don't really like Spectrum. Discord, absolutely. Twitch can get effed. Don't really care about. Again, I love my friends that are streamers. I don't get my news from streamers. I mean, I don't. I don't really engage with Twitch. Now, what I will do, that's to be fair. What I will do is I will go on Twitch and I will hop on and say, hey guys, and I'll give like a $50 donation, or I'll get like a 10 subscriber package and say, hey, gift from Beyond the Verse podcast, like, woo. So it's a way for me to like thank the streamers for what they do. So I guess you could say Twitch. I just don't, if I don't know you on Twitch, I'm not watching it. YouTube. Yep. Very much YouTube. I do a lot of content creators on YouTube. Twitter, by all means. Bar Citizens, absolutely. Okay. Which seasonal promotions do you participate? All these. Which seasonal promotions do you participate in and enjoy? All of it. In case you missed, it frustrates me. I'll explain here in a second. But the rest of these, Alien Week is, but everything else has a really good purpose, right? So like the Lunar New Year is fun. You'll get some red and gold card. It's like usually like Chinese New Year. So they'll do like the year of the monkey, the year of the rooster, right? So that's kind of fun. Whatever. Cormor is their Valentine's Day. Stella Fortuna is their St. Patrick's Day. Invictus Launch Week, absolutely. All of you should be checking Invictus Launch Week. It's incredible. Alien Week. I mean, I'll participate in it. The cosmetic is not really, doesn't really do it for me. Foundation Festival, that's fun because it's a lot of it's an opportunity for the community to help the community. I like the guide system. I like the idea of bringing on new individuals and showing them the ropes and being rewarded for it. I think that's great. Ship Showdown needs a lot of maturation. It needs a lot more iterations on what it is. It kind of sucks right now. Like the playoff bracket isn't always like ideal. You can already, like when you get the list of the competing vehicles, you already know who's going to win or should win. I don't like the idea of classifying them like as like fighters versus fighters or whatever. Because again, at some point you're going to have the Javelin versus like the MDC. I love the MDC, but the Javelin is going to win 100% of that time. All right, Ship Showdown needs a lot of growth. Pirate Week, I like the game loop of piracy, but Pirate Week, some great paints, black and gray or black and platinum with the skull everywhere. Freaking love it. Day of the Vara. Maybe. It's Halloween. So for those of you who are curious, it's the Halloween. It's a lot of masks, costumes. It's like, I don't know. This last one was like, I think this last year was like pirate themed, wasn't it? Wasn't it pirate themed? Like it was the furniture that had the skulls on it. Or was that Pirate Week? I don't even remember. I know like in the past, Day of the Vara had like the flight suits, the hazmat flight suits and all of that. It can be fine. but it's not one of their major ones. IAE, absolutely. That's your November major event. That should be checked, as well as Invictus Launch Week all the time. Luminalia, I just love. I don't even like the gifts that I get from Luminalia's website, the calendar, but I love what our org does. I love giving gifts. Like, I like the time of year and what it means, to just give. Like, whatever the hell that means, giving. And so CIG gives us a calendar to vote on, or to click on, and it gives us a gift. That's fun. That's exciting. But I like it just because of the time of the year. So everything except for the in case you missed it. There you go. Oh my God. Here we go. The meat and potatoes of our podcast. Here we go. Core gameplay experience. Rate your enjoyment with mining. Okay. So let me just preface and say it is easier for me to like something than it is to dislike something. So you got to really be jacked up for me to not like you, right? So I'm going to live like undecided and enjoyable. Nothing is going to be perfect. I'm sorry, but on a Likert scale, this is what's called a Likert scale. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 has to be like the shittiest of the shitty, and 5 has to be perfect. Just for it to work, it has to be perfect. So you live in the 2, 3, 4. I'm not going to ever rate it much in a 3, because that just means I don't have an opinion. So maybe there's something like, you'll see me choose it a few times. But the undecided is like, I don't care enough to give you my opinion. And that doesn't do anything for CIG. So again, I want to live most of my life here in this enjoyable. So for mining, I have no issues with mining. Mining's complicated. So mining and salvage can be complicated. If you get into the modules and the best or the meta loadout of the vulture or the meta loadout for the prospector, like, it can be complicated. But if you're just going and doing a basic rock or a basic, an Avenger Titan for salvaging, it can be pretty easy. And actually, it's one of my favorite loops. I love salvaging. I love getting into my vulture, flying out to the middle of freaking nowhere, maybe taking a contract, maybe spending 2,000 to 5,000 credits to get, a contract. But once I get to the contract and I scrape that ship, I'll just explore from there, because it usually puts you in a random asteroid belt. It puts you in a Lagrange cloud. And so I love salvaging. It's also one of my favorite ships to bedlog out of. It's like, you'll do your salvaging, you'll load up an entire vulture. You've got your credit for turning in or for completing the salvaging contract, bedlog. And then the next time you log in, go take your stuff to a TDD, right? All right, FPS combat, enjoy. One of my favorite game loops is Merc missions. I love going to bunkers, and I love everything about FPS. It's great. Ship combat's fine. Cargo transport, it has so much work to do. Here is where I think I might end up putting stuff in undecided, because it would be enjoyable if the shit worked. Cargo transport, like, I'm thinking the whole sea and like auto loading and auto unloading, like that is just such a funky process. So I'm actually, guys, Soul Provision is a logistics in-game organization, and I'm actually going to rate it poor. I'm actually going to rate this shit poor because it's just wonky enough. Freight elevators sucks, right? Having to deal with Wicklow. Don't even get me freaking started with Wicklow. Just anything that's like cargo, freight elevator related just sucks right now, in my opinion. Global events, always enjoy it. The impact it has on Soul Provision is always positive. All right, engineering. I'm going to go through this pretty quick. I've gotten a little bit of experience with engineering, but honestly, since 4.5 dropped, the amount of instances that engineering gets activated where you're having to fight a fire is very minimal. But when it does happen, I enjoy it. Overall enjoyment, enjoyable. Clarity of engineering roles and tasks, enjoyable. Balance of workload and upkeep. So again, so far, unless they tweak it and shit starts catching on fire because you sneeze, it's enjoyable. Impact and multi-crew gameplay, still to be determined. Again, we have been on an Idris fully staffed with sole provision members, and nothing catches fire. There's really nothing to do from an engineering standpoint. So enjoyable, but that could easily change, quickly. Ease of learning the engineering systems. I'm going to be unfair with this analysis. I think they've done a really great job with the guide. So the engineering guide, phenomenal. The HUD, right? Or the MFD, the HUD that's like if you're on the Clipper and you look at your bottom right, like above your right leg, you'll see like the MFD heads up display of the engineering systems. That's great. All of it's great. All of it's fine. But the moment you go to the back of the Clipper and you look at the engineering like monitor, shit's complicated, right? But it's unfair for me to say that's a negative. I just need time in front of it. So this is one of my neutrals. I just need more time in front of the kiosk in order for me to fully understand more about the engineering systems. And that's going to be the same thing for the engineering UI and UX clarity. Again, maybe unfair. It could very well be unfair. But I don't have enough information to really push that either right or left. All right, the game loop that you most... Okay, what is the gameplay loop you use for most of your UEC income? What is the gameplay loop you use for most of your UEC income? Yeah, that's cargo. Yeah, hauling missions. That's the only game loop that I've gotten maxed out in reputation. So, hauling missions, like taking the Starlancer Max, or taking the Caterpillar, or even like the whole C when it works. Like I love that. I love doing all of it. And even going, you could say commodity training. So I could select commodity training as well. But even doing something that's not contract based, like not in your Mobiglass. So going to an orbital station, filling up with, I'm making this up, guys, but stem packs, and then delivering them to another location. It might not be based off of a contract that you take, but it could very well be something that you plan your route on, and you sell to the highest buyer. Okay, which gameplay loop do you want to enjoy more than you currently do? I'm going to go ahead and put this Beyond the Verse episode 134. But which gameplay loop do you want to enjoy more than you currently do? Hauling. I know I would love delivery, cargo hauling. I know I would love it even more if I didn't continuously run into grid locking issues, like items just all of a sudden not grid locking or locking to the grid or snapping to the grid. Freight elevators not counting all of the inventory whenever you lower it and raise it. Whole C auto loading and auto unloading, like those issues happening. Like there's so much that if this worked out, that it would be the only thing I would do. But it's so buggy. Like there's so many things that are broken with the loop at this current moment. All right, which ship would you like to use more often, but don't due to bugs? Again, guys, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I'm going to say, obviously, aside from Beyond the Verse episode 134, I'm going to say the whole C, right? That, again, it's extremely buggy, but it's the best cargo hauler that's out there for, 4,000 and plus SCUs. Let's try to think beyond that, though. Due to bugs or incomplete functionality. Carrack, the Anvil Carrack, most of its pretty much any exploration vehicle doesn't have its radar, doesn't have its drone deployment, doesn't have really any of its functionality, unfortunately. But I would say any exploration vehicle. I have a Carrack. I have it named. I love my Carrack. I've got the black and red best in show Paint for it looks freaking sick. And in fact, it's the only model that I have from JDRF, right? I love me the Carrack, but I won't fly it because it's just like, why would you fly it? All of its functionality is not working. Okay, rank the gameplay archetype you would like to see more ships created to support. Okay, you would have to drop fighters all the way down because that's basically the only ship that ever gets released. Right with that is cargo hauling. So we have, of all the ships, we have the most fighters, the most cargo hauling. Interdiction, I kind of relate that to fighter combat. Like, I know some of the listeners and viewers are going to have an opinion there. But interdiction, I kind of throw with fighter, even racing. Medical support, we have very few of those, but still, we still have quite a lot. The C8R, the Terrapin medic, or the, what do we call that? The Myrtle. I forgot what like the community calls it. Multi-crew combat, you got to go all the way down. Multi-crew combat, you're right there with fighter. Mining, we have way too many mining, way too many salvaging. Here, let's move you up. Move down, salvaging. Repair, refuel, and rearm. We actually don't have a lot of those. Like refuelers, we've got the Starfarer. Yeah, I mean, we have no ship that repairs in this current moment. The Ironclad is supposed to. We have got a couple that should be able to repair eventually. But refuel and rearm, I don't think we have any of those yet. I mean, I could be wrong. Tell me in the comments section if I'm stupid here. Medical support. This is what's tough. Like people transport, we have a lot. The entire Origin line, the 400i, the 600i, the 890 jump, like those are all people transports. Like there's a lot of people transports, but there's no loop for it. So I don't know. We'll move that. I'll move that down to maybe. Yeah, I'll leave it right there. But yeah, I think this is a good like rank the gameplay archetypes. Repair, refuel, rearm, because I don't know of any that are actually working besides the Starfarer. Medical support, we only have a few of those. Way too many salvaging and mining. People transport's kind of irrelevant. Interdiction, basically I put that as like racing or fighter combat. We don't have a lot of those, but we have way too many cargo hauling, way too many multi-crew combats and fighter combats. So that'll be good. Oh God. Okay. In-game economy, guys. I don't know if I'm going to spend a lot of time on the in-game economy. Look, I actually love the economy team. All right. I love the economy team. I love what they're doing. It's very important in MMOs. It's actually one of the most important things in MMOs because what you're doing and what you're grinding for and the things that you're buying and crafting and you're gathering, all that matters if there is an economy. If there's no working economy, it's completely blown out. Like, why do it? So the economy is super, super important. We're so early on in StarCitizen that it's kind of, I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me to rate the economy when I know there's so much overhauling and pivoting that needs to happen with the economy. So I'm actually going to, I'm going to actually put, well, let's just go through it. The overall economy in the game feels balanced and rewarding. Because it says rewarding, I'll say agree. It does feel rewarding. The cost of repairing and filling restocking ships seems fair. It's fine. I never have any issues with that. Insurance, claim timers, and expedite fees feel appropriate for that gameplay. Sure. The 890 jump, I think, is like 3 hours. It's the biggest ship. It probably does need to be 3 hours. That's fine. The income from missions feels worth the time and effort required. I think that depends on the mission. But I think it's fair, though. Like, it's fair. The income from ship salvaging feels worth the time. I'm actually not going to agree with that. Now, granted, I took the Vulture out with no upgrades to my modules. So I was still on the cinch. left and right, both cinch. I did not upgrade to their braid. Right, Roger, tracking. It took me so long to finish a retaliator. So spent 5,000 UEC for the contract. It took me out to a retaliator, and it took me probably 45 minutes to an hour. But your cinch area that you're salvaging is so freaking small. It just took me a very long time to do that. So I don't know if it was worth. I think I spent 5,000 on the contract. I got 76 when I sold all of the materials. So that was like a 71K return on investment or profit. So I don't know. I don't know if that's worth it necessarily when I could do a cargo hauling mission for half the time. I can chain cargo hauling missions and make significantly more in the same amount of time. The income from mining feels worth the time and effort. See, I don't know. I kind of disagree with that too because of how much time and effort you have to put in to the refining of the mining materials. I think there's a whole dynamic there that you have to choose the right one, what kind of refining you want to do. You have to set it and forget it. Now you can do other things while your material is refining, but I don't know. Like I consider that as part of the time. And so that's a lot of time wasted on that loop. The cost of personal gear, such as weapons and armor, feels reasonable. It's absolutely reasonable. I think it's too cheap. I think buying a rifle for like 5,000 UEC is cheap. When you're making 71K off of one salvaging mission, it almost seems like too cheap. The cost of ship components and weapons feels reasonable. That's fine. Never had an issue if I wanted to get an braid module. Didn't even hurt my my wallet. The cost of ships feels appropriate relative to the effort required to earn them. Okay, I'm a space whale. I hope y'all love me. I'm sorry if I come across in a bad way on this topic, but like I buy all my ships. So I've never had to buy a ship in game. Whoops. The cost and rental period. Again, I've never had to buy or rent a ship in game. So sorry. I actually have no relevance there. Okay. Mission satisfaction. Guys, I am Elliot Maltby's biggest fan. Like I freaking love every mission. I have no issues with any of the missions. I think they're all great. They keep me occupied. They keep me very engaged. I have no issues with the missions at all. What rewards like to see? What rewards would you like to see added to missions that are not currently offered? I would like to see, like, if you become like, okay, let's just answer it this way: reputation based. I would like to see if you are the maxed level cargo hauler for Ling hauling out of Crusader. Like I want that branded gear. I want to be able to have that colored orc, Mark X or Mark V. Like I think having things that are tailored to reputation or tailored to a certain mission type, absolutely 100%. I think reputation needs to be in the game ASAP. What new mission types would you like to see added to the game? Honestly, guys, I want to see the people transport, the VIP transport. I love Origin. Now, I told you in a couple episodes ago that RSI has made a lot of headway for me. I love RSI's aesthetics. I'm now like an RSI fan, but I used to always be an Origin fan. Those ships are just irrelevant. I want the 400i to matter. I want the 600i to matter. I want the 600i exploration module and the touring module both to matter for different reasons. The 890 jump needs to have a purpose. So I kind of want to see the people transport, the VIP transport, added to the game. Ship combat. Damn it. Okay. Let's go through this. Ship combat is fun and engaging. Agree. Fighting AI ships is enjoyable. Agree. Fighting other players is enjoyable. I don't know. It is fun. I mean, all kind of joking and murder hoboing aside, it is fun when you have deliberate PvP going on. Missile mechanics provide clear feedback and feel engaging to use. Fuck no. Guys, I have the hardest issue with missiles. I don't get it. Maybe I'm just a freaking idiot. But I have the Eclipse that has size 9 torpedoes, and I know how close and how far away I need to be in order to fire those things off. Shit never lands. And you only have 3 of them. Like, you don't have a lot on the Eclipse. So once you fire off all 3 and they inevitably miss, all 3 of them miss, it's a worthless ship. And it's not supposed to be like that, right? Like the Eclipse is supposed to be a freaking powerhouse. But I have the hardest time landing missiles on ships. So I'm sorry. Bombing mechanics provide clear feedback and feel engaging to use. Again, this is me, guys. This is 100% me. But when I fly the A2 or the A1, if I fly a bomber, I have, again, the hardest time getting it to land on target. So I'm going the right speed. I have the ground icon. When the ground icon hits the target, I'm pushing when I'm supposed to push. I keep going that speed and I take off vertically. Like, I'm doing all the things you're supposed to be doing. But again, inevitably, that bomb freaking flies a mile off to the side and it's nowhere close to the target. So maybe I'm just an idiot. But it doesn't give me clear feedback or feel engaging to use. So that's a disagree for me. Multi-crew ship combat feels impactful and worth participating in. Absolutely, 100%. Be in an org, and that will be an agree for you as well. The variety of ship weapons feels meaningful. Absolutely. The variety of ships available supports different play styles effectively. Absolutely. The flight model supports tactical maneuvering and enjoyable dogfights. Absolutely. AI pilots behave in ways that feel dynamic, challenging, and fun to fight. Look, I'm putting disagree only because of the desync. And that happens in PvP as well. I'm not saying this is a PvE versus PvP thing, but the desync destroys most of the feeling dynamic and fun to fight. Desync makes things so less enjoyable. Large ships provide gameplay that feels distinct from small ships. Absolutely. Fly a Polaris or fly an Idris and realize that you're flying a freaking cruise ship. Like, you're not outmaneuvering anything in those ships. So I love that. Ship destruction mechanics feel fair, appropriately punishing without being excessive. 100% agree. Ship speeds in combat feel appropriate for meaningful maneuvering and engagement. Absolutely. FPS combat. Guys, again, I love me some FPS combat. All right, I'm like handling my bourbon too much. It's like warm now. It's not fun. Okay, overall, I find FPS combat fun and engaging. Absolutely. Weapons feel diverse. Absolutely. If you don't believe me, try the triple shot. The triple shot cannon of a revolver or pistol is like freaking amazing. Love it. Or the boom tube, right? So much fun. Character movements and animations during FPS combat feel smooth and responsive. That's a disagree, thanks to desync. AI enemies in FPS combat feel dynamic and provide a satisfying challenge. They do now. I'm very impressed with the latest patches in the AI challenge. Personal armor options feel distinct and useful depending on the scenario. I think this is one of the other examples of using neutral because, again, I don't see a lot of difference in wearing the Orc Mark X, which is a medium. Is that the medium and the ADP is the heavy? Regardless, I don't feel like there's a lot of difference between that kind of stuff. I want there to be material differences. I want there to be armor differences. I want to actually feel like maybe there's an armor health bar or something. I don't know. There's something that tells me the depletion of life a lot clearer because right now just they all feel the same. Now, I know wearing like a flight suit, you get breathed on and you die. So like that's fair. But I still don't think that there's enough differentiation between the heavy and medium armors. All right. Law and criminality. Oh, God. Okay, here's where we start pissing a lot of people off. Piracy feels risky but rewarding. I agree. Illegal missions are fun and feel distinct from legal missions. I agree. The prison system seems fair, understandable, and appropriately punitive. I don't know. I have like, look, I'm gonna hit disagree just for this. I have been wrongfully given like the highest criminal level, right? So crime stat, whatever it is, 5 or whatever it is, 3, 5, whatever. And it was wrongfully given to me. Like I desynced into somebody else's ship, blew up their ship, killed like 5 people. I forgot the whole detail. But then it was like, I don't know, it's something like 12 hours of real life, waiting in prison. Now you can obviously mine to lower that time. You can escape prison. You can go and repair like the air quality vents or whatever. So there's things you can do to bring down that time, but 12 hours seems very excessive, or whatever that was, whatever the highest crime stat was. It's several real life hours that I don't want to be in prison. Even if I'm doing the missions to lower the time, I don't want to be doing that for 30 minutes to an hour. So I'm going to say disagree there. Stan feels safe and lawful in a way that matches the game world. I'm going to say yes. Nyx feels somewhat between Stan. I actually agree with all this. And Pyro feels unlawful. Absolutely. Multi-crew ship combat feels impactful and worth participating in. Absolutely. The overall law and crime system enhances the gameplay experience 100%. Does it need to mature? Does it need to change? Absolutely. It needs to grow. But until then, yeah, I think it's great as a factor. The actor systems, inventory, injury, status, survival. Oh boy. Hunger and thirst are balanced well. I agree. They really never impact me. Just always have a cruise bottle on you at all times and you're good to go. Injuries are noticeable and require meaningful choices to manage. Yep, I have broken a limb or severed a limb, and it actually impacts how I get onto ships and how I can hold rifles and defend myself. So I agree there. The methods for treating injuries are intuitive and engaging. Yep. Whether it's yourself or others, I think it's great. AI enemies in FPS combat feel dynamic and provide a satisfying challenge. I feel like this was asked before in the survey. I think this is duplicative. So we're going to go ahead and hit yes. Managing and moving items in my inventory feels simple. Nope, absolutely not. But that is why inventory is coming in Q1 of this next year. So there's light at the end of this tunnel. But managing and moving items in the inventory is clunky. Sometimes you can combine and stack items. Sometimes you can't stack items. It doesn't make sense. It's very annoying. Looting items, equipment, and valuables in the game world feels rewarding and worthwhile. Yeah, I agree. It's gotten a lot better. Like there was a day where looting backpacks it was just annoying as heck, especially in like the bunker missions or merc missions. Now it's gotten a lot faster to open an inventory, get what you need to do. Like you can take an entire backpack inventory and immediately move it to yours and be on the objective quicker. So I think it's growing and it's going in that right direction, but we'll see what Q1 of this next year brings for updates to the looting table. All right. Goodness, here we go. All right. Which new gameplay or story experience released this year was your favorite? Easily Stormbreaker. Stormbreaker, easily. Going to the one planet in Pyro to get the cards, and then going to the other planet in Pyro where you had to go through a storm cloud where it was raining, and we had like an airborne mission that Groza organized where we airborne dropped it right on location with a huge ass worm and all of that. Stormbreaker was it for me. Absolutely Stormbreaker. Which new ship released or made flyable this year was your favorite? Oh no. This is easy. Where's the Idris? 100%. My Idris is called Azrael. I got to name it. Freaking awesome name. It was my call sign in the military. So Azrael is very appropriate for the Idris. I love everything about it. I love the implications it has on org play and the future of org play. Absolutely. Which new weapon added this year did you enjoy most? Probably the boomstick, or the triple shot, or the kill shot. Triple something. Help me out here. The 3-barrel pistol. I think that's freaking awesome. The kill shot rifle is really well done, but that boomstick is hilarious. So we'll do that. Which new armor set added this year was your favorite? Okay, this is funny. It has to be the cape one that looks like the paladin, and I know I will never wear it in game. I because it's so World of Warcraft paladin. It's so what was the oh man, my mind's going blank. I can't think of the name. Helldivers 2. There we go. I think so. But it feels very out of place. It feels very outside of Star Citizen. But I like the detail. The amount of detail is just incredible. Here's another thing about that real quick. Capes. Like, it is hard to do capes in video games. Sometimes they clip, they go through players. It's hard to animate. Sometimes they're not even animated. I think Star Citizen has done a very good job with their cape animation. I think Starcloth, is what they call it. But the cape animation is phenomenal. So I think just that whole armor set just looks phenomenal. Looks great. The ship paint release this year. This is a cop out, guys. Total cop out. But I love that they brought back the best in show paints from previous years. The Eclipse in that white and gold paint, sick. The Carrack in the white and gold paint, sick. I absolutely love that. But I think if I'm talking just this year, brand new to this year, it's got to be one of the Idris paints. So whether it's the shark mouth paint, oh my gosh, there's been so many though. So the Idris has the phenomenal shark paint, which I think is just great. It's unique. It's awesome. But even the Perseus concierge paint is like that white, gold, and dark gray camouflage. It looks really well done. It looks great. So I'm going to say one of those. That's a hard one. Which new addition this year did not land well for you? I don't remember which one it was called, but it was the cargo one, the cargo missions. I was looking so forward. It's like Race for Stanton. I think it was Race for Stanton. I was looking so forward to that from a sole provision perspective of delivering cargo. And it was bugged from the day that it started to the day it ended. I wanted all the rewards. I wanted everything, but it was so painful to execute. It was so bad. And it was my loop. It was the cargo hauling loop. I'm very upset. And that has to be it. It was that mission of the cargo hauling. I believe it was Race for Stanton. Absolutely. I think we're almost done here. Rank the following upcoming gameplay features based on how excited you are to see them. Oh my goodness. Okay. Base building is number 1. 100%. Farming, that's actually one that we don't hear about a lot, if at all. So farming is super interesting that's even on this list. So this one's hard. So base building, absolutely. Research and crafting, I'm going to move that down just because for me, that's a sub quest, or that is a side mission. Like crafting and research for me is a secondary objective. Base building is going to be huge. Exploration is going to be huge. I don't know what farming is. I want to learn more about farming. Organizational tools, that's got to go up because I'm an org leader. We're going to do that. Boom. I'm an org leader and I absolutely need more tools. People transport, Again, I want it for origin ships. I do. I want it to be relevant. But out of this list, it can be deprioritized. Character progression and survival. I think that's super interesting. I'll be honest with y'all. I'm not looking forward to Death of a Spaceman. I don't know. I like the idea. I want there to be a penalty and a cost to dying. Absolutely. But I like the idea of creating a character, staying with that character, and it being your character until the day you physically die in real life. All right, let's keep going. What new feature released this year had the biggest impact on your enjoyment of the game? What new feature? I don't know. For me, it has to be like the immersion of like weather. I think like the rain really did it for me in Stormbreaker. I think that completely changed everything from my experience in the game. It's so fun to be on a planet and see a storm coming, be in the storm, and then like take off and fly through the storm, and all of a sudden you're in space. It's got to be the weather. I know that's like low on most people's list, more than likely. It's weather for me. What feature or change would most increase your playtime next year? Server meshing, dynamic server meshing, instancing, that would increase my playtime. I want what I do in the verse to matter. Like, we just had a great conversation, the board of directors in Soul Provision last night had a great conversation. Some of the most fun that we had in 2025 was the Wicklow mission for the Polaris, right? And that's not instancing, that's not server meshing, that's nothing of what I just said, but it's the concept. It's the idea of like what I was doing mattered. It drove every faucet of Soul Provision to go and do something and get something and bring it back for this collection effort. So when I say instancing, that puts a purpose. If you, the tactical strike groups, again, I'm thinking Area 18, or I could be completely wrong, but that basement layer instance that we're talking about, like those technological advances and maturation of server meshing, like that enables the type of like Wicklow Polaris missions that I'm talking about. Like what I'm doing matters. I'm actually building something. I'm building wealth. I'm building an inventory that is worth bragging about. Right now it's just too vague. Anybody can go and do cargo hauling missions. There's no like real, hey, look what I accomplished, unless it's Wicklow. If you're whoring it out for Wicklow, you might have armor. You might have a ship that looks different from other people. But that's really it. Like Wicklow is the end game right now, and I don't necessarily agree that it should be. I like the idea of instancing reputation, building wealth, and your reputation in the verse. What frustrates you the most in the current game? Still glitchy, still kind of, I don't know. You never know what kind of experience you're logging into. Like our Organites, it's like Russian roulette. Like we have this great plan, we're ready to execute, but we have no idea what kind of experience we're going to have getting into the server. Like we want to do Hathor, but we don't really know if they're bugged out. We don't really know if we're going into a server that, you know, those locations are ready for us. Like, I don't know, there's just so many, like you just don't know. And so for me in this current moment, if I have 30 minutes to play a game, honestly, I've already beaten Cyberpunk 2077, but now I'm going for full completion. So I'm doing all the gigs, all the achievements. So if I have 30 minutes to play, I know what experience I'm going to get if I load up Cyberpunk. I have no freaking clue what I'm going to experience in Star Citizen. So even though last year was the year of playability, I still am not confident when I jump into the game in 2025 or the late 2025. What keeps me coming back to Star Citizen? Everything I just bitched about. The people, the community, like that sounds like a billboard, but it's so true. Being in Soul Provision, being the CEO there, having friends throughout the verse, by all means. But I think it's the exploration, the unknown. What can this game be? Like I spent a couple of days ago, I spent an hour and 16 minutes watching the Squadron 42 video just because of the letter from the chairman. And after I was done watching it, I'm like, I got to get in the game. I got to get in Star Citizen because now I'm just motivated to walk around a ship. So, I mean, honestly, what 1.0 can be keeps me coming back to Star Citizen. And then I'll cheat a little bit and say because I have a podcast and I need to create content for the podcast. And done. So if you could give one message to developers about the state of Star Citizen today, what would it be? I'm actually going to go to my profile on Twitter, and I actually wrote this. Let me see if I can find it quickly. I wrote a letter to the developers, and it got a pretty good got a pretty good reception. So let me just, how long ago was this? Goodness. Boom, here we go. All right, share my screen. Here's my message to CIG. If I could give one message to the developers about the state of Star Citizen today, it would be this. What you're building finally feels real. Now protect the trust that got you here. For the first time in a long time, Star Citizen isn't just promising a future, it's showing one. Core systems like engineering, cargo, salvage, and multi-crew gameplay are no longer concepts, they're lived experiences. Ships have weight, roles matter, coordination matters, and the verse feels dangerous, deliberate, and worth mastering. That's an extraordinary achievement, but with that progress comes a new responsibility. The community that's still here. The ones running org ops, teaching new players, stress testing systems, and telling stories worth sharing. Isn't asking for miracles anymore. We're asking for stability, clarity in follow through. Fewer half-finished loops, fewer regressions, and fewer moments where progress feels undone by the next patch. Star Citizen doesn't need to be faster, it needs to be steadier. Protect the gameplay pillars you finally planted, communicate the why when things change, let systems mature before stacking new ones on top, and respect the time investment of players who treat this universe not as a tech demo, but as a place they live. You've built something rare, a game where community cooperation and consequence actually matter. Don't dilute that chasing novelty. Refine it, reinforce it, and finish what you start, because the verse is no longer waiting to believe, it's already here, and it's choosing to stay. Safe travels beyond the verse. I think that incorporates or encapsulates everything I want to say to the CIG. If I was sitting in front of Chris Roberts, that's exactly what I would tell him to his face. So yeah. And that is the end of the Star Citizen 2025 player survey. Don't let my feedback sway you, but do take that survey. Let your voice be heard. It counts towards something. Get after it. Okay, to our comment section real quick, and then I do want to end on the extra life piece. I think it's super awesome. So here is episode 133 from several days ago. This was December 19th, so 10 days ago. How are you tackling engineering in 4 or 5? 38.5% of you say solo, 38.5% of you say small crew, and then 23.1% say you're just going to wait for future patches. So there you go. Comment section. Let's roll. There are 5 published comments to get to. Open comments. Doop-a-doop-doop. All right. Whack-a-tech. Merry Christmas, Solus. Hey, Merry Christmas to you too. RSI has been growing on me as well. Packing out my Zeus with the beautiful Best in Show livery. Or paint. I'm just going to stop saying that damn word. Paint. For surviving in Pyro with engineering has given me renewed love for its design in space. Though I think we might be plagued by recency bias, as RSI ships are CIG's newest and most refined designs. 100%. I think once we see an Origin ship made with this new baseline, it's going to be immaculate. I'd love to see the next Generalist from them or another underutilized brand. Yeah, absolutely. And I think you nailed it with the next Generalist. The Clipper is not like a really great ship because of its looks. We all know that. It's ugly as sin, but it is probably one of the most popular ships in this current moment because it is a generalist ship. I think as we start seeing more generalist ships, the more popular those will be. I think the more everyday flyers will be choosing generalists. I would love to see a generalist from RSI. I would love to see a generalist from Origin. Absolutely. So I'm right there with you there. Billy the Beast writes, I don't know you, but I don't know you Talon. I love it. Perfect. That was an inside joke from earlier. And then Saxus also joins on the bandwagon. Yeah, Talon. Also love seeing the hat against Solus. Hey, you're welcome. I got to get a new hat. This one's really gross. I've been wearing it for 3 years now. I got to get a new one. Yep. All right, so damn it. Conagen. We'll go with Conagen. I really need to have a first-hand look at the engineering doc before I rush headlong into this patch. You absolutely should. It's a great doc. It is a very well done product. Go check it out. And then Alex VC writes, Merry Christmas, brother. Great to hear that you are falling for RSI, and I appreciate the blessings you've given me. But I got another question for you. What would be a core gameplay loop that you would add? Kind of already discussed that, but I'll answer it again. Maybe even build upon. I would love to see some agricultural practices when base building comes out. Space Farmer would be sick. Well, Alex, you saw earlier that farming was an option to choose, right? It was one of the game loops that they're looking at. So good for you. That would be amazing. Space Farmer, it is. I hope that works out for everybody. For me, I've already kind of talked about it. I want people transport to matter. I want that to be a thing. I think that could be fun. But I want exploration above anything else. I want exploration to be a thing. Like I want it to matter. I want scanning to matter. Like, I don't know. I think there's been improvements of like scanning planet side for caves. Like that's a new thing that just came out. I love it. It's progress in the right direction, but there's something about parking a Carrack around like a low orbital station, or low orbital. What's a LEO? Low Earth orbit. Anyways, I think it's low Earth orbit, but parking it like in orbit, but then like launching drones to go explore like where you're going to put your vehicles and where you're going to put your base. But I think having that exploration loop would be amazing to have. I think that answers the question. Space farmers would be sick though, my friend. Last but not least, guys, Extra Life. This is a really cool story. I'm going to end on this note. Let me go to my team page real quick. All right, we here evidence beyond the verse. Your overall team rank out of every single team that participates in Extra Life. We're going to end the year in 2 days. We're going to end the year in the top 250. So we're 248. We set a goal for 5,000. We raised 5,000, but it's because of one very generous giver. So a couple of days ago, we were about 3,000 short. It's like we just hit 2,000 and we're like, all right, 2,000, let's call it quits. I even said on the last podcast, like, hey, even if we raised $10, it'd be a blessing in a child's life. And an individual donated over $3,000 to get us from that. I think it was like 1,900, or maybe it was at 2,000, but to get us all the way up to our goal. And so again, for next year, we're going to set a goal for 2,000 so we can hit that organically and just naturally throughout the year. But we hit 5,000 this year because of that individual. And I want to make sure I will say this real quick. Where is it? Here you go. Okay. I'm not going to reveal the name because I haven't gotten permission to reveal the name. So I'm not going to share who this is. But I will say that when they donated, they put in quotes, in honor of Robert Hart. Now, I don't know anything else about this individual. I don't know who Robert Hart is. The name makes me sneeze, evidently. I don't know who Robert Hart is. I don't. But the pain that this donator felt was great enough to donate over $3,000. And that has to hurt. Now, a great heart. The donator has a great heart. Thank you so much. It goes a long way. Children's hospitals will be forever in your debt and grateful for what you provided. But I am so sorry that whoever Robert Hart was for you gave you the motivation to give this amount of money. I hope it's not like one of your kids. I hope it's nothing like that. I mean, no life is justified, but I can't even begin to understand the pain that individuals go through. So it means a lot to me. It surely does. I chose Extra Life. I've been choosing Extra Life for several years because children, of course, have a place in my heart. I have a 9-year-old son, a 6-year-old daughter. They are literally everything to me. My 40th birthday is coming in the next couple of days, and I chose a Disney cruise line. So you can understand what my kids mean to me. So I'm going to continue running with Extra Life. And so if this calls out to you and you feel so compelled to give in 2026, we will have another campaign with Extra Life as well. So, all right, we're going to wrap this one up. Our longest episode of the entire year, almost 2 hours. So I hope you enjoyed it. What a great year. What a great year for technological advances, for playability, for new features and functionalities and missions, locations to go explore. I think CIG knocked 2025 out of the park, and I cannot wait for 2026. I cannot wait for Squadron 42 in 2026 because that is happening. And I'm kind of hoping there's like a collector's edition like every other game has. I would totally invest in whatever price tag is on that game. But I cannot wait for it. And I cannot wait to experience it with you through these podcasts as I see y'all in the next year. So Happy New Year. Celebrate responsibly. Get through the next year. I want you as listeners in the next couple of weeks as well. Our next episode will be mid-January because, again, I'll be out on a boat for the next couple of weeks. So mid-January, guys, I hope this finds you well. I can't think of anything else to say. Safe travels as you traverse beyond the verse. Take care.